LeBron James is arguably the greatest basketball player that has stepped foot onto an NBA court. I'm pretty sure every NBA fan has a king in their top 5, and more so the top 3 players of all time. Unless you're this guy. Don't be this guy. From just a kid from Akron to the face of a basketball generation, LeBron has dominated and never sold us short when it comes to his basketball acumen and performance on the court. We are literally, no pun intended, witnesses of 19 years of greatness. With the MVPs, records broken, all-star appearances, and championships, we've even seen some of the greatest games ever produced by LeBron James. The 2007 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5, where LeBron dropped 48 on the road in Detroit, including scoring the last 25 points for his team through the fourth quarter in both overtimes. The 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6, in Boston, facing elimination and dropping 30 in the first half, and then finishing out with 45, 15, and 5. 2013 NBA Finals, Game 7, drilling 5 threes and finishing with 37 and knocking down 2 clutch buckets to ice the game. The last 3 games of the 2016 NBA Finals, where he put up, hold on, let me check the records real quick, 41, 41, and then a triple-double to close out the greatest comeback in NBA history. Look, the list goes on, and you could probably find many other games that were just as phenomenal. But there is one game in LeBron James' career that is arguably one of the greatest performances I've ever witnessed by an NBA player. It's one of the few games that never gets talked about for, let's say, a multitude of reasons. What game am I speaking of?
It's the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors as we welcome you to the 2018 NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV.
May 31st, 2018. A day many Bron fans like myself choose to forget. 51 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists on 59% from the field. One of the greatest finals performances ever and the most points scored in a finals game since Michael Jordan in the '93 finals. Unless you've been living under a rock, then you know how insane this game was from wire to wire, and you probably know the tragic ending. An ending so unfortunate, this amazing game is never mentioned in any basketball discussions. But before we dive deep into Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals, we have to go back to the start of the 2018 playoffs to recognize how dominant LeBron was leading up to his 51-point performance. Starting in round 1 as a 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, LeBron and the Cavaliers had to face a young and hungry Indiana Pacers team led by first-time All-Star Victor Oladipo. In a series that went 7 games, both teams going back and forth, the Cavs were able to prevail through with LeBron James hitting clutch bucket after clutch bucket to will his team to the next round. That Pacers team had 7 players average double digits in that series, while the Cavs had only 2. The Cavs only made it through that series because LeBron James basically activated takeover. But next round was against the number 1 seeded Toronto Raptors, the team with the 2nd best record in the NBA, a team with 2 All-Stars in Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, a team with a lot to prove, and we're not about to.
Korver bounces for James, extra feed, Smith lets it fly, it's a 3!
Took them 2 shots to make the shot from the tunnel.
Oh, LeBron!
Oh, boy.
Backing down Lowry. Heat check. Still sizzling. Throws up the floater. Good night, Cleveland!
Like, this could be their year, but things were clicking. James, oh, impossible angle!
Yeah, LeBron basically swept them without home court. At least the Raptors won the championship the next year. But going into the Eastern Conference Finals against another very young team in the Boston Celtics, who were battling without their 2 best players in Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward due to injury, the Cavs were down 0-2, and honestly, it looked like reality was finally going to settle in for LeBron James that he wasn't going to make it to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010. Instead, the Cavaliers, carried by LeBron James, pushed the series to a Game 7 where LeBron again showed you why you can't count him out, putting up 35 in the Garden and averaging 34 for the entire series. Somehow, someway, the Cavs were in the finals facing the Warriors for the 4th straight year. Now, coming into these finals, this wasn't like the last 2 times these 2 teams met. Kyrie Irving wasn't on the Cavaliers anymore, Kevin Love wasn't producing to the same level as before as the years passed, and the roster constructed was just not good enough to compete for a championship as we've seen over the 2018 playoffs. Like, look at this promotional graphic. They got KD, Klay, and Curry, and they have LeBron, Tristan Thompson, and Kyle Korver. Like, come on, bro. This matchup was so lopsided that before the series began, the Warriors were minus 1,000 favorites to win the series, which in betting terms meant placing a $100 bet on the Warriors would win you $10. The largest favorites in finals history since the Lakers in 2002. But it doesn't stop there. The Cavaliers were plus 650 underdogs, which again meant that if you placed a $100 bet on the Cavaliers to win this series, you'd win $650. Run me my sponsorship, DraftKings. Now, the lights are on, everyone's in their seat, and the show is about to begin. From the tip-off, both teams were answering buckets back and forth like a heavyweight prize fight. LeBron was showcasing his passing and ability to score from all three levels, and in just the first quarter, LeBron had 12 points, 3 assists, and didn't miss a single shot in that quarter. No extra flash or look to draw fouls, Bron was precise in every decision on the court, and you could see a level of focus that had you thinking, yeah, this is going to be a special night in the Bay. Leading by 1 in the first, both teams kept on battling neck and neck, one tough bucket after another tough bucket, but it was still LeBron James that kept on attacking and controlling the pace for his team in the entire game. Finishing the half with 24 points on 9 for 11 shooting, the Warriors didn't have a single answer to stop Bron from getting what he wanted. This was the best version of LeBron James that we had seen this entire postseason, and the Warriors were going up against a king that was on a mission to shock the entire NBA world. Tied at 56, coming out of the half, Bron was going to have to replicate his great first half for the Cavs to even have a shot at pulling this one out. The Warriors, that season, turned into a different monster for teams in the third quarter, averaging 30.2 points per game, and per 100 possessions were outscoring teams by almost 18 points in the third quarter. It was safe to say that no lead was safe against these guys, and the real battle was keeping up with them during the third quarter. But still, LeBron James kept the Cavs in this game while the Warriors went on a run and knocked down 2 big threes that kept the Warriors from pulling away. By the end of the third quarter, LeBron was sitting at 36 points, entering the last act of this game. This was the moment we were all waiting for. In the fourth quarter, LeBron found his teammates open, cutting the Warriors' lead point by point, and then took the game into his own hands, getting to the basket and literally making any shot he put up. Again, this wasn't a game where LBJ was settling. From the point of attack, he was aggressive, and his demeanor truly looked like he meant business. We were on the precipice of watching the greatest underdogs somehow beat one of the greatest Goliaths of a team on the biggest stage. But like I said before, we know how the story ends. LeBron, with 50 seconds left, gets a clutch and one bucket that puts the Cavs up by 2. Fast forward 10 seconds later, and we have one of the biggest calls that changed the entire game. Kevin Durant is called for a charging foul on LeBron James as LeBron slid in front of the ramp before he could get to his spot. This meant the Cavs would be up 2 with 37 seconds left with the ball, have time to call a play, and leave little time for the Warriors to respond. On the floor, the baseline official, 35-year vet Ken Maurer, called a charging foul. However, the official at half court, 27-year vet Tony Brothers, called a blocking foul. Now, coaches' challenges weren't a thing in 2018, and the league confirmed at the time under the final 2 minutes of a game, the officials can go to replay for certain situations. For example, if the ball went out of bounds, finding out who last touched it. But in regards to a block or charge, the officials were only able to go to replay to see if the defender was in or out of the restricted area.
They're looking at the replay to see if James is in the restricted area, which under 2 minutes they're allowed to. Then once they look to see if he's in the restricted area or not, they can also change the call if they feel he's not in a legal guarding position.
If the player was deemed out of the restricted area, then the officials can then see if they viewed that player to be in legal position. If not, then a blocking foul would be assessed. But looking at this play, in real time and in slow motion, LeBron was clearly outside of the restricted area. Was he in legal guarding position? I don't believe so, because his feet are still sliding as contact is made with KD. But the officials couldn't go to replay to determine if LeBron was in legal guarding position to begin with, only if his feet are outside or inside a restricted area. And if they were, then they could look at the intricate details of this play. But looking at this play in real time, it's pretty obvious LeBron was at least 2 feet above that line, which meant the replay center couldn't review the play. It's a loophole in the NBA rulebook, but the call was reversed, calling it a blocking foul and giving KD 2 shots at the free throw line, which he hit. Tie game at 104. With 36 seconds left, LeBron scores immediately, finishing a contact layup, and the Cavs are up 2. With 23 seconds left, Curry drives to the basket and gets an and one, finishing the layup over Kevin Love, and the Warriors go up 1 with 23.5 seconds left. LeBron, holding the ball down at the top of the key as time is ticking down, George Hill cuts to the basket but is fouled by Klay Thompson, putting him at the line. Acquired at the trade deadline and an 80% free throw shooter, as a Cavalier that season, all George Hill had to do was make his free throws. The first one is good. Now, all George had to do was make the next free throw, and the Cavs walk out of Oracle Arena with a road victory.
Hill misses. Rebound goes to the Cavs. J.R. Smith brings it back out. Throws it to Hill. Hill shot blocked.
Look, we've seen this play countless times. J.R. Smith, not knowing the score, thinking the Cavs were up 1 and running out the clock, was a knife in the gut to every Cav fan that night. Bron's total reaction as it all unfolds was sickening to watch. Knowing he had just scored 49 points and carried his team to the steps of winning this game, now they were in overtime where their momentum was completely shot and the Warriors had the utmost confidence to win. But there's one piece of info in the huddle that is failed to be mentioned when we talk about this game. LeBron asks, "Did we have a timeout?" And the team goes silent until Coach Ty Lue confirms that they did. Yes, J.R. Smith completely folded with his blunder, but no one using that final timeout was one blunder by the entire team that can't go unnoticed. Listen to what J.R. Smith had to say about the situation.
The first thing we do is see how many timeouts we got left. Me already knowing, I already knew we had a timeout. I'm gonna say 5. I want to say 6, but it's 5 other times earlier in that season we were put in the same situation. First thing we do, we get the rebound, we call timeout. All right, bet, get the ball to Brown, space out, he gonna make it work. It was like nobody wanted to take responsibility for it. So that like, you left me with it. You know what I'm saying?
Back in February against the T-Wolves, LeBron had a clutch block that led to a rebound by J.R. Smith, and that timeout was called immediately. The next play, LeBron wins it at the buzzer. In the first round that year, the same exact thing occurred against the Indiana Pacers in Game 5. Blocked by James, rebound by J.R. Smith, and an immediate timeout, followed by a LeBron buzzer beater to win. Calling a timeout doesn't get mentioned, and along with that, George Hill missing at the free throw line is just as important to this loss as well. All he had to do was make a free throw, and it didn't matter what timeout the Cavs had or J.R. Smith getting a rebound. Once OT began, this game was already over. The Warriors and the entire Oracle Arena were rocking, clutch 3 after clutch 3. LeBron looked completely out of it after what had just unfolded and finished with only 2 points, finishing with 51 points. His teammates had failed him. You had the Warriors showboating a win they barely escaped with thanks to unbelievable circumstances. It was just a tough night for an all-time performance to occur, just for the most important talking points to be the final 40 seconds. LeBron finished with 51 points, a playoff career high, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 10 for 11 from the free throw line, and shot 59% from the field and 42% from 3. The Cavs would go on to get swept like almost everyone believed they would be in that series. But even in this finals loss, we witnessed one of the greatest games LeBron James had ever played. It's not normal for a player to just drop 50 in the finals, the grandest stage of all of basketball. We witnessed Giannis Antetokounmpo do it a year ago, and the world was in awe. These type of performances, regardless of result, need to be talked about, because of the historic and level of talent we are able to witness can't be undervalued. However, add May 31st, 2018 to one of LeBron James' greatest games when it's all said and done, even though we may never want to talk about this game again. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and be sure to turn the post notification bell on so you never miss a video. I'm pretty sure you'll find something that you enjoy. Until next time, stay on beat.